You're a radical. This is an important video, and I've spoken this, but I should do more of it. Write a book. If somebody would team up with me, we'd probably make millions overnight. You know, this story is incredible. It's unbelievable. It's heartbreaking. It's disgusting. It's corruption. It's illegal. Now, stay with me. Fukushima, the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. So, Bechtel, I'll never forget it. This is back in the 80s. He was called to the Hill, and the CEO. And he says, you were paid to put triple liners around the tanks at Hanford. You didn't. Why? Well, Price-Anderson doesn't require us to do anything. There's no liability, blah, 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 blah. The Congressional Act, which is called the Immunity Act. What did you do with the money? We hired PR firms to attack anti-nuclear energy activists. So stay with me. So this is how they pulled it off. Fukushima, I had my YouTube camera, and I'm going crazy. Look up the first videos there. I was directly accurate on everything I ever fucking did. Full of cancer. So what did they do? They went to the freaking insane radical, well, not even radical. I love how they call them radical. The so-called alt media lunatic right. These are the same people that was White 12, Freaks, Jade Helm, Pizzagate, QAnon. They tapped in to this fucking freak show. Alex Jones himself, who is more guilty of this than anyone. Alex Jones, in the trial on his divorce hearing, was asked, the fake Sandy Hook actor, that fucking guy sued him, and rightfully so. Oh, I'd have done a lot more than sue him if that was my fucking kid, you fucking rats. And he said in the court hearing, well, I was kind of going insane. He said it. So then his wife sued him for divorce. And he says, well, I'm a performance artist. That's exactly what he is. Rush Limbaugh. Where's my Rush Limbaugh sticker? I had it out here. I remember somebody gave me that in the 90s, sent it to me, smartass. I still have it. Rush Limbaugh admits he's an actor. I mean, these people, this is my favorite quote on this whole dynamic. And this is important how the PR firms, what they did to Kevin Blanch, what they did on the Fukushima dynamic. So, and I'll get into this. So, I always like Bill O'Reilly, who's Roman Catholic, friends with the Plowshares crew, who I know that crew personally, of course. Don't work with them for years. Dorothy Day, Madeline Rice, Megan Rice. On Stephen Colbert. Well, Stephen, it's all an act. Stephen Colbert, if you're an act, what am I? So, this is incredible how this played. So what did they do? Now, the left is just as guilty. The so-called left media, they just ignored Fukushima. Andy Vandy Cooper, who was in Fukushima, Japan, and Sanjay Gupta. They were there. They were there every day. CNN going crazy. Our boots on the ground, going crazy. Fukushima meltdown. Should we get out? Should we get out? Should we get out? They talk Fukushima meltdowns literally out of Anderson Vanderbilt's mouth thousands of times, if not minutes. Same with Sanjay Gupta. They flew home when the wind shifted. Not a word has been spoken since. But the alt-right, how they did this. Alex Jones pounded Fukushima. Now, you know me. I was on Coast to Coast. I was on a lot of radio shows and podcasts in the early days of 2011. Good ones. Good one. Be a Monster with Gwen Holdenberry. I was on that show all the time. Coast to Coast. What's his name? He's passed away. Out in Peru, Nevada. I was on his show. They were good. Really good. Then all of a sudden, the radical right, Alex Jones, and the so-called alt media took it off and started just spinning, going crazy. And it was all the hatred of Obama. I knew that. Jam Miss Smokey the Clown ended up being a far-righter. I mean, the whole free radicals. Now think about it. I used to get these packages in the mail, these so-called free radical artists. What's a free radical? It's a cancer cell. It's leukemia, and they're coming at me. I'm like, these guys are sick. Now, this started to happen when they got serious against me, when all of a sudden, in 2011, I get a stomach ache. The day I'm due to speak in Zuccotti. I'm one of the original founders of what turned out to be the Occupy movement. We started that at Washington Square. Oh, they were afraid of me. I was everywhere. Then all of a sudden, boom, I get sick that day. That was in October 2011. Misdiagnosed. I went from 170 to 130 pounds in 3 weeks. My family's doctors, blah, 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 blah. Finally, it ended up being a radical case of AML leukemia, which was a death sentence. I went into the bone marrow transplant center on 11/11. This story goes, oh my God, Kevin Blanch predicted his own cancer, blah, blah, blah. I'm in the bone marrow transplant. And I refused to do interviews at that point because I'd had it with KSL here in Utah. I'd had it with all spinning me, changing my words, everything that I'd done all these years. So finally in 2013, I come out of the bone marrow alive. I don't know how. People kept, everybody's leaning on me. You got to do some interviews. So I did a video one day. This is early 2013, right after they killed Aaron Swartz. Right after they'd killed Danielle Willard, and basically what turned into be the Million Mass March, was Kevin Blanch's post-ignorance project. I was going crazy about the death of Danielle Willard here. That was in 2012. I'm in the bone marrow transplant. I'm coming out. I've got the field. So I did a video and I says, I'll lift my moratorium on interviews. Okay, I'll do any interview. I don't give a fuck. Okay, just because everybody's hounding me. So this February of 2013, I did 90 interviews in 60 days. And they were, for the most part, almost all, real extreme. God, some of the most insane people on the face of the earth I did interview. I remember doing this couple there was 2 couples doing a podcast in Tennessee. Well, before we start this, we want to caveat this with the expert Kevin Blanch that the generational Mach 1-2 reactor at Fukushima, Japan is the only one on Earth built below ground. I'm like, stop right there. What the fuck is that? Who told you that? And they says, well, somebody sent this. And by the way, you remember when Patrick Henry had the whole field and he was right where that's all my work. Shane Russell, Marina Burke were the FOIA document researchers. They're the 2 best FOIA document researchers in the world, those 2. High IQ, schizophrenic gonzos as they get. Oh boy. But speed readers, minds like traps, blah, 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 blah. They would call me. Anyway, they fed me all that. All the Patrick Henry's work, and then Jan Miss Milky the Clown, that was a whole group of us. And all that data was 100% accurate. But then they spin those guys into far-right radicalism. Well, not even radical. I like how they call it radical. So I did 90. And some of the most insane interviews in the world. These PR firms had me so teed up. Now remember, I was in critical condition, most likely going to die. I'm sucked up to another one. I did all those interviews and everything. I look back on it, and now I know because the second their Lord and Savior. Now, I asked Trump point blank from here to there in Salt Lake, you're going to talk about Fukushima, the meltdowns, at the route. Yes. Our group asked him in 2014 in New York City. We were at a rally of his. What about Fukushima? If you get in a car wreck, you don't stop driving, he said. And I yelled across the room, you do if it kills you. So anyway, I never voted for fucking Trump. Fucking Obama, the fucking rat that he was, and that's how they all took it on. But now I look back on it, they were all paid. Now this is important. Alex Jones, of course, Mike Adams, and I always liked his work. He broke away, and his Natural News, he did a lot of great work on food. Where the fuck is he? So I'm in the bone marrow transplant center dying. This story goes in earnest. I got a stack of media requests this fucking deep in there, and it's all for the most, well, it's all. The left never did tackle. The left just pretended this never happened, which is disgusting, the mainstream media. So the alt media, it's all alt media. Well, I'm quarantined. They won't let anybody in. I'm dying. What a story. That's how San Onofre got shut down. Because I was in the bone marrow transplant when the accident happened, and I'm the one that leaked all that out to the media. They're like, whoa, because I was dying. Literally dying, sucked up in a ball. You think about the hard, now, Dutch Sense, there's the one. Dutch Sense used to have this little container of nuclear radiation. So did Connecting the Dots up there. They both had one. And they were using it and traveling around the country. Where the fuck did they get it? Number one. Illegal. Dana proved that. He's the one that dug it. And by the way, Dana got on this a couple years later. Miss Smokey the Clown's the one that talked him, and he does great work. I'm a fan of Durnford's Don't throw him into that group. He's great. I really love his work. He's dedicated. He's hardcore, and I'm a big fan of his. So that's one of my great Army. Tim Martin, who's gutted it out, he's fantastic. And so, I used to be on rants, whatever, but politically I can't deal with him. And so, when Sushi, who's supposedly the anti-nuker, comes on this rant and says that John Kerry sent the USS Reagan in, that's when I had it with them. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? John Kerry didn't become the fucking Secretary of Defense until 2013. This happened 2011. Fucking John Holdren sent them in. Fucking, I know who, the Admiral, the Navy, the United States government, and so they got their facts all wrong, and they twisted me. So, two different people independently. And now, my friend and the IT guru, the German genius, Kurt, I love that guy. He's in L.A. He has everything, every video I've ever done backed up. And he says, look at these, Kevin. You ever seen these? I says, no. Two different ones. They're call-in show with Alex Jones. Hey, and these are mutual exclusive of each other, 3-4 months apart. Alex, why will you not have Kevin Blanch? You talk Fukushima. He's the world's foremost expert on Fukushima. Why won't you have him on his show? And they use specifically Kevin Blanch. Well, Kevin is an activist, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, why won't he have me on the show? Then a few months later, another guy. People emails constantly. Why didn't he? Well, I always knew why they didn't. I knew. By then, I was on to him. I'm like, because I'll blow his cover. He's selling bunkers, water filters, whatever. They were paid to turn Fukushima into conspiracy land. When Fukushima is completely the opposite of any conspiracy. There's nothing conspiratorial about it. These are nuclear meltdowns. Nuclear reactors, what? You don't think nuclear reactors exist? You don't think, that's all we ever talked about, Einstein. And now the information's coming out now that they've covered up. And one day this will come out. This is the greatest cover-up in human history. This is the greatest event in human history. This is the greatest story. And my story, my place in time, well, who would have believed it? Who would have believed it? I'm in... And I misspoke on COVID. There's no doubt in my mind that COVID is a mutation. Einstein said it over and over and over. We're going to let this energy loose. We're going to get a meltdown. It's going to mutate viruses. And there's no doubt in my mind COVID-19 is a mutation from the Fukushima. Wuhan lab? Oh, absolutely. Wuhan, probably lab too. They're probably experimenting with it. But from the seafood? Well, the seafood's mutated. We know this from the dead tadpoles. We know this from the crabs, from all this. My proof, think about the work I've accomplished. Oh my God, think about what I've been up against. I remember being in the bone marrow transplant center, and I would get attacked, literally. I had a laptop. I was going in and out of a coma in there. I would literally get sometimes well over 2,000 or 3,000 emails a day. I used to have a girl that would kind of help me in the hospital go through some of them. I had a nurse that helped me for a lot of times that was with me for a while when I came out. I don't know how I didn't die. Broke me, financially destroyed me, and they went to work on me. I think about the whole free radical artist thing. What's a free radical? It's a cancer cell. It's a thing cell, I look back on it in Calgary, the way they teed me up. They set me up every other way. Remember, I'm in critical... By the way, it's against the law. Doing videos slandering me by the hundreds of videos slandering me. And we traced it down. Shane Russell and crew, we traced it down. Phone ringing off the hook. So, we traced these, and it was PR, the United States Department, the NEI, which the nuclear... By the way, ENE News, her and I used to work together. She used to work for that, and she did fantastic work. I helped her, she helped me. She used to work for the NEI. That's the trade group that's sponsored by the Department of Energy, the nuclear. My own government. Now remember, my father was nuked to death, a drafted Marine in the Nevada test site. The other way, I got to show you this. That's real. I had to field this. I used to get cards and letters from all over the world, every country. You wouldn't believe. My uncle, the neurosurgeon, who really doesn't get along with me good because he's a goody two-shoe Mormon, said he did a lecture in China in the day. And somebody asked him, "Are you related to Kevin Blanch?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he says they stood up and gave me a standing ovation. In Bath, when I'm in Bath in Germany, they poured me some champagne, standing ovation. Here they were attacking me like a wolf. So now I know because we investigated my anonymous crowd, we dug it out. That the United States Department of Energy hired PR firms to specifically attack. And I used to think this was bullshit. People used to tell me all the time, well, Kevin, Barbara Boxer's office, she was the head of the committee. Allison McFarland, head of the NRC. I could write 100 books and blow this all out of the way, but nobody's ever stood up to help me, except for, there's been people that have funded this, thank God, as the last few years. There for a long time, it was Michelle Grant and Billy Johnson would send me some cash in the mail. $100 here, $50 there, or I would have literally starved to death. I didn't even have food. I don't know how I didn't lose my house. They tried to take my house. I couldn't pay my bills. I got no public. Mike Lee kicked me off Medicaid. I was in the Nevada in the Energy Solutions dump site on the Nevada border, protesting Mike Lee secretly sneaking in the Italian waste here to Utah. That's where I was at when Fukushima happened. And then I come home and I had a TV then, and I woke up and I'm like, whoa, I knew right then. First video on earth, me. I'm going crazy. Everything I said was accurate. You think about it, and then Mike Lee to my face, you can look it up. Well, I'm full of cancer. I told him, I've been on my LDS mission. Where you go? And I says, the bone marrow transplant at the top of the house. Well, we just found out my dad was a downwinder. Now, remember, his dad died young. This is a guy sneaking in. These are some sick puppies. I've talked to every politician there is, face to face, except I've never been able to get to Obama. I've gotten to the rest of them close, and I've asked them, including Mitt Romney, including John Huntsman, including all my senators, a lot of other people's senators. Asked about Fukushima. So Barbara Boxer's office, she was head of the committee at the time. The environmental case. She was going crazy about Fukushima. She says, they classified it, Kevin. They moved it into the underground court. They classified you, her staffer. I says, oh, bullshit. I had people, I'm in D.C., all the work, the activists, you don't even know. I know the head of White House security. I know so many people. These are very top-notch people that have told me, Kevin, you're classified. What the fuck are you talking about? Your name. I'm like, along with, what the fuck? No. Then we dug it out. They hired a lot of ex-cops. They hired all kinds. I can name off this connecting the dots creep that was, they were slanting. Oh, Kevin Blanch faking his cancer when there's central line hanging out of my jugular vein. A bone marrow transplant. There's videos of me, my chest split open heart surgery, and they hacked my accounts. I'm at Livermore protesting in critical condition. They hacked all my accounts. I'm in the ICU unit. And they're calling me, and they hacked all my stuff. They're doing videos on fake with my chest. Oh, fuck. You think about this story. People will believe anything. And so that's what happened. They he's a white guy from Utah, so they pigeonhole into the far-right conspiracy YouTube crowd. Now, the left is even worse. It just is fucked up. They never did report this. Again, I go back to CNN. So there you have it. There's the dynamic of this. That's how they did it. I look back on it, fuck, what they did to me. By the hundreds. My UCY radio station hijacked by some chick in freaking Oregon. They all had an alternative motive. I look back on it, people just, they were coming to me like you wouldn't believe. It was overwhelming. Send me stuff in the mail, calling me, acting like them, friendship baiting me like you wouldn't believe. Artists, freaking everybody. I look back on it, it was all a setup to pigeonhole this Fukushima into Y12 or Y2K or whatever the fuck it was in 2000. Jade Helm. Oh, God. Pizzagate. QAnon. Freaking, what is the next freaking lunatic? All this. They wanted to put me in that group. Well, I'm the opposite of that group. I've never been. I'm a research PhD. This is I'm ongoing. The PhD is ongoing. It's not finished. And my doctor says it well. If you don't believe any of this, why don't you go have a conversation with Vincent Hansen or Finbo Peterson? They'll both tell you the biggest miracle in their careers. They're both anti-nukers. That's the only reason they took me. They don't take 51-year-olds with AML de novo, leukemia. I'm alive. Marshall Jensen, the most famous leukemia case in the world, was in the room next to me. This story is unbelievable. Everything I said was true. Everything I said was right. And look what they've done. That's how they did it. And because that's what they turned you to. And now Trump killed net neutrality. You used to Google, you think about my art form and how effective I was as the artist. I used the rant, the intense, fuck. I was flipping the can, everything, because I knew it was based on retention. I knew I had to hold the rant. Think how effective I was. You used to Google anywhere in the world the Fukushima meltdowns, 9 of the 10 sidebar would be Kevin Blanch. You might have a BBC or a, that's who I was competing with. Sam McCloud, all these things, I was everywhere. Then Trump kills net neutrality. Net neutrality, you can't find, but guess what? Don't matter. I tell everybody. The Chernobyl documentary people came to me. Kevin, you're the one that's got us going. The interview with John Holder, I'm the one that prepped her. Go on and on and on and on and on for the YouTube videos Mightier Than the Sword. I mean, my work, the whistleblower army that I had then, well, I even have now. The information that I have, I have the transcript from the Situation Room. I have all the classified stuff. I have all of it. You know, because in the early days, no one had anyone. You wouldn't believe the emails I used to get. The stuff. So, but that's what they did to me. Now, remember, in critical condition, which are felonies in all 50 states, my own government, my own state, my own community, my own neighbors, you know, this county commissioner, this Gibson character that's under all kinds of, my own neighbor who's county commissioner threatened me in front of the county attorney, in front of physically threatened me. In front, I wasn't standing there. He wouldn't have got away with me, but multiple witnesses told me. While I'm for no reason, you know, trying to protect you from, you know, and I don't believe in violence. Look, I started the Million Mass March. It's unarguable, which turned into black. I mean, you think about this story. Oh my God. And that's what they did. So as soon as Trump becomes election, like a switch, all these so-called righties that took on the alt media, that took on, they all just went, did it go away? I say it like this. They've painted themselves into a corner. Haven't they? You think about this. Now, sliding with Biden, I never voted for the fuckhead. I never voted for Biden. You know, I voted for freaking Obama because he tricked me because I was a peace activist. I wasn't born with these scars across my face. I was a famous peace activist. He voted against both wars. He lying, betraying rat. I hate him. His betrayal. And I know betrayal. Oh boy. Me and my grandson earlier today had a conversation about betrayal and how bad it is. I voted for Bernie Sanders. The only reason, because he made statements coming out against the nuclear energy crime scene. That's the only reason. It's the only issue I give a fuck about. You know, social inequality. Oh, please, look what I've done. What turned into be the Million Mass March, you know, you go back to all that work I did in 2012 that they hijacked. Danielle Willard. Go on and on and on and on and on. So, I've lived the life of 50 people in the last decade. I've done the work of thousands of people. I've gone so intensely. When a doctor looks you right in the fucking eyes, he looks right at you. Good doctor, you know. Kevin, you're full of bad cancer. You might have 2 months. Next doctor says you might have 2 weeks or 6 weeks. Nobody believed me. Vincent believed in me. You don't think it was intense? It's like a blur. I look back on this last 10 years. It's been so fast, so radical. I've went so hard, and it's been so intense with that wolf. I didn't have a transplant. I was too sick. They sent me home to die. I'm still here. What a fucking journey. What a fucking story. But that's how it played out. All these people, and they pigeonholed me and put me into right-wing fucking conspiracy land, which I'm the opposite of that. And then, like I said, the left never did take it on. But you know what? At least my narrative got out there. You know, and so, I think back on it. So who betrayed who? You know, these people, fucking the Alex Jones, all the right alt media that took this on and dropped it, the Dutch senses of the world, the connecting the dots of the world, they were all paid. They were all paid by them. There's no doubt in my fucking mind. They were paid. Look at their YouTube sites. Mine went, whoa. Why? You know, Durnford says it's the best. He says, I could be here twiddling my fucking thumbs as long as I've been at this and build an audience and have 2,000 fucking people on my live stream. I get 50, 60. Well, there you have it. So it worked. So stay tuned. And what a story. Thank you for everybody who's funded this historic work. It's been important. The fight goes on. Alive and kicking.